The Inner Woman. Carl Jung and Women's Health. After 40, some women don't chase, they don't plead, they don't explain, and yet they are never forgotten. After 40, a woman begins to carry a silence that trembles through every room she enters. It is not weakness, it is not surrender. It is the awakening of a deeper truth. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human soul, believed this moment, this quiet seismic shift, is when the shadow stirs, the anima whispers, and individuation calls. The threshold of midlife at 40. The world expects a woman to fade into roles already worn thin. Mother, partner, caretaker, worker. But something in her whispers, no, who am I without these masks? What do I truly want when the noise of obligation falls away? This is not a crisis. This is a crossing. A sacred threshold Jung called the midlife rebirth. The myths of every culture spoke of it. The phoenix who burns to ash only to rise again. The goddess who descends into the underworld and returns with jewels of wisdom. The moon itself, darkening and renewing with each cycle. So too, does a woman at midlife feel this descent, this demand to shed borrowed identities and step into something raw, authentic, eternal. It is here that the archetypal woman emerges, no longer bound to external approval, but pulled inward by forces she can no longer ignore. The first turning point. The shadow emerges. The shadow is not a monster. 'Tis the box where she placed every forbidden desire, every silenced rage, every unspoken need. For years, she played the role others expected. She smiled when she wanted to scream. She stayed silent when her truth burned in her throat. She gave when her hands were empty. But the shadow does not die. It waits. In midlife, when the hormones shift and the external labels loosen, the shadow rises to be seen. It says, remember me. The parts of you that were too wild, too angry, too free, they are not enemies. They are you. Consider the woman who always said yes. Yes to extra work. Yes to endless caretaking. Yes to holding everyone's burdens but her own. At 45, her back begins to ache. The doctor calls it stress, but Jung would call it shadow. The pain is her body's language, urging her to carry herself, not just everyone else. Another woman, silenced for decades, begins to feel sudden surges of anger. She is told it is hormonal, but perhaps it is the shadows raw, the rage she buried at 20, 30, now demanding release at 50. A woman who dares to face her shadow stops apologizing. She learns that repressed anger becomes power, that unspoken desire becomes creativity, that old wounds become wisdom. And when she accepts her shadow, she discovers she is not less holy, but more whole. The second turning point. The Anima Awakens in Jung's vision. Every soul carries both the masculine and the feminine. The animus drives action, logic, structure. The anima whispers intuition, sensuality, fluff. Women often spend their first half of life overperforming the masculine, proving, achieving, controlling. They build careers, keep families afloat, balance endless demands with steel discipline. But at 40, something shifts. The anima awakens. In dreams, she appears as water, moonlight, gardens, fire, fill in life. She calls the woman back to softness, to creativity, to inner knowing. This is why so many women over 40 rediscover their passions. Painting, writing, dancing, building businesses, planting gardens, or simply listening to their own bodies with reverence. One woman at 50 finally picks up a paintbrush, something she loved as a child but abandoned for practical life. Now, her evenings are filled with color, with wild shapes, with the unspoken voice of her anima guiding her. Another woman, after years in corporate halls, begins walking the forest trails at dawn. She feels her anima in the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of her breath, the pull of the earth. She realizes, I am not drying up. I am blooming inward. The anima does not strip her of strength, it balances her. She becomes action and intuition, fire and water, steel and moonlight. The body speaks. Symptoms as symbols, the body never lies. The migraines, the back pain, the exhaustion, they are not random punishments. They are symbols. A back that aches may be carrying more than bones. It may be carrying resentment. A stomach that twists may be digesting grief that was never spoken. A heart that races may be running from truths unclaimed. Jung said the body reveals what the mind represses. And at 40, the repression cracks. The body insists, listen to me. Heal what you've hidden. Menopause, often feared as decline, can instead be understood as initiation. The hot flash is fire, burning away illusions, deep. The slowing cycle is a turning inward, the body conserving energy for soul work rather than childbearing. The night sweats, the restless sleep, they are the body saying, wake up, something new is being born in you. When a woman listens, her body becomes her compass, not her enemy. She realizes healing is not only medical, it is psychological, spiritual, archetypal. The wisdom of the body is the wisdom of centuries, carried through her blood, her bones, her womb. Every symptom becomes symbol. Every ache becomes oracle. The third turning point. Letting go of roles for decades. She may have been known only by titles. Mother, wife, daughter, employee. But at midlife, something ancient within her begins to rebel. She asks, who am I when no one is watching? Who am I without the roles they've given me? This is the heart of individuation, Jung's term for becoming whole. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming real. It is about integrating the shadow and the light, the masculine and the feminine, the wounds and the wisdom. The woman who is only someone's mother learns she is also an artist. The woman who is only someone's wife learns she is also a seeker. The woman who is only someone's daughter learns she is also an ancestor in the making. She is no longer just playing a role in someone else's story. She is writing her own. The inner revolution for some, this looks like leaving a job that trains her spirit. For others, it is finally setting boundaries with a partner. For another, it is picking up a paintbrush, a pen, a prayer, and creating something that feels like home. This is the revolution that cannot be seen from the outside. It is internal, invisible, and yet unshakable. She is no longer waiting to be chosen. She has already chosen herself. This inner revolution terrifies those who built their comfort on her silence. Stay. They will call her selfish. They will call her distant. They will call her cold. But she knows the truth. She is not cold. She is clear. She is not selfish. She is sovereign. The liberation here is the paradox. When she no longer chases, she is chased. When she no longer explains, she is understood. When she no longer performs, she is remembered. This is the power of individuation, the power of becoming whole. The power of a woman who no longer negotiates with her shadow, but embraces it. The power of a woman who listens when her body speaks. The power of a woman who carries silence like a crown. And so the world misjudges her silence as weakness. But Jung would remind us, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the voice of the soul. Closing, liberation line, unforgettable end. The woman who walks away in silence is not weak, she simply sees more. She has walked through the shadow, awakened the anima, listened to the body, and remembered her wholeness. She is not waiting for permission, she is not waiting for applause. She is not waiting to be saved, because she has already met herself.